such a time to be returned for prosecution. What are you going to do to assist your minister in this regard?
As the minister, in legal practice and over the years, I have encountered exactly the complaint you're talking about, where matters, dockets are forwarded to the AG's department, and for sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you don't have the advice from the AG's department, and you have prisoners languishing in jail without going through trial to actually prove themselves of their innocence or guilt. So what I intend to do when given the opportunity to assist the Honorable Minister so that we can lobby to ensure that the conditions of service of state attorneys are improved, thereby attracting many more state attorneys. Because some of the areas, for example, my region, Upper East, you have just 2 state attorneys, and you have sometimes more than 200, 300 matters pending for their advice. It becomes very, very difficult for them to be able to carry out their mandate as required because of numbers. So I would actually assist my minister so that we can lobby to ensure that conditions are improved to attract younger ones, so that when we have many more hands, then these delays can be curtailed.
Private practice in your region.
Mr. Chairman, I think those of us who were resident in Bolga were just about 11 in the whole of the region.
It's not just about the Attorney General's department.
There are 2.
It's about the arrogants who, after getting the degree, refuse to go back.
Thank you very much. I want to congratulate, and you know this is the first time I'm congratulating anybody for this nomination. It's because if you see from where he's coming up to be sitting where he's sitting, he's come from far away. He faced difficulties. And if you look at the history, he needs to be commended. What is interesting is that he's not only made effort to teach and all that. According to his CV, he also wrote some short story. 2 of them, A People in Tears, and the other one, Inflated Hopes, Punctured Dreams. We haven't seen the publication. Can you just summarize what you wrote about In People in Tears?
Under the supervision of the late Professor Uno. And in that story, I tried to look at the effects of ethnic conflicts. And I situated it within a certain geography. And for purposes of not putting myself in a certain tight corner, the names and characters were fictional. I talked about the fact that a certain group of people had engaged in some ethnic war among themselves, caused massive destruction to themselves, properties, and destruction of lives. Then, much later, a hero emerged in the community who led a crusade to unite them. And then they eventually put behind them the past and united, and the community was able to develop beyond their expectation. But again, just when everything seemed good, some misunderstanding arose, and everything that they had gained over the period was once again devastated and destroyed beyond repair. Then the chief of the area tried to reconcile them. Everything went bizarre. A few politicians came in. It didn't go well. Then at the end, some foreigners intervened with a form of some aid. And the last part of it, one of the foreigners who succeeded in calming down tempers told them, people, you are in tears. Do well to stay away from same and have a happy life. That's a summary of what that book is about.
Thank you very much. We have asked this question a number of times, but I will repeat it. Do you think that the special prosecutor will be independent and neutral if we pass the law according to the Constitution and the president appoints him? Will he not have the same tag as your Honorable Attorney General as being politically influenced?
You know, as the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, as she is in office, immediately His Excellency the President leaves office, automatically she goes. But the office of the Special Prosecutor is going to be designed in such a way that the person appointed transcends beyond the tenure of office of His Excellency the President. So when there is that security of tenure, then the person is able to carry out his or her duty without fear of being dismissed. So the marked difference will be with the security of tenure, so to speak, Mr. Chairman.
But you know that we have independent commissions, and we have also created independent institutions like the one supervising the electricity, what is it called? PURC. But we politicians will always drag them into politics. The fact that I know somebody is going to be made special prosecutor, I will go beyond the person's capacity to say he is politically affiliated. It will therefore depend on the conduct of the person. It's not the law that will protect that person or give him the neutrality. Do you agree with this one?
Well, first of all, we are living in a country of rule of law, a country of order, and not a country of men and might. So whatever you are going to do, especially in respect of the office of the Special Prosecutor, ought to be in consonance with the spirit and letter of the Constitution. And so if a particular person, however powerful the person is, tries in a manner to influence the Special Prosecutor, then what's going to happen is that you're going to have a situation where the person's own integrity and conscience will be at stake. And I believe that whoever is going to be the appointing authority, in this case, His Excellency the President, will go for that person who is well made in the area of law and etc., so that that person will do it in accordance with his free conscience and will to ensure that justice is done, not a person susceptible to manipulations. And I believe that when we have such a person in office, then the person will be able to succeed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kpemka, I want to have your take on this. Kpemka. Your take on this. Will you advocate for demystifying the legal training in our country? For instance, if Ghana Water decides that they want their workers to actually specialize in water law, so to speak, there should be a design program to make them be specialized in that field. What will be your take on that?
First of all, if you are asking for us to advocate that we have a specialized system in our various facets of life, we must first look at the capacity. We have to build the capacity to be able to do that. If we are talking about engineering and we want people who are specialized in that as lawyers and etc., we have to train people to do that. So there has to be, first of all, a concerted effort and a deliberate one at that by the Office of the Attorney General. And I have the confidence that the Minister, myself and my colleague, given the opportunity, I will ensure that I assist my Minister so that some scholarships can be given to persons to go specialize in certain areas that we are lacking. And when they come back, we can then go into the nitty-gritties of looking at the various facets of society and life and training people to fit into those areas so that when we have those specialized persons doing their duties in their respective fields of endeavor, we will have minimal problems coming as a result of our own actions.
My experience at the ministry shows that most of our ministries...
At which ministry?
When I say ministries, I mean almost all the ministries I've been to.
We don't know that.
I've been at trade, I've been at local government, I've been at sports.
Okay, so your experience in government.
Yeah. Shows that there is lack of legal representation, especially at the ministries level. So cases involving the ministries, especially, let me mention Ministry of Youth and Sports, most often do not get representation. That ends up with judgment debts. Will you advocate for a situation whereby the ministries could depend on outside legal counsels in order to prosecute such cases, to avoid a situation whereby they lack representation and end up not having representation in court and judgments are given against them?
First of all, you will have to talk about availability of resources, because if you engage these lawyers to render such services, you have to remunerate them for that matter. So what would then happen is that if the various ministries can, in a way, in their budgets, have an allocation specifically for legal matters, then we can go that extra mile of hiring the services of competent lawyers to represent them, to ensure that the very vexed issue of judgment debts do not arise at all. So it will depend on the very structure and conduct of the various ministries that will assist us to also assist them carry out their mandates.
Are you suggesting that even if the ministry is wrong, they cannot get a judgment against them, whether or not there's representation, if you breach a contract or if you trample on somebody's rights? You can still get a judgment against you whether or not you have representation.
Mr. Chairman, that's not the impression I created at all. I was talking about the fact that he made, so to speak, an omnibus statement to the effect that in most of these ministries, you do not have legal representation, as a result of which you have the situation he's talking about. So, yes, there are certain cases that one has no defense, and one will have to ask that either you negotiate a settlement out of court, or where there is a defense, you fight it to the end. So it will depend on the circumstances of each matter. Each case will be treated on the basis of merit.
There are two issues that it is likely His Excellency the President will be seeking legal advice from the Attorney General's Department. As you know, Article 88(1) makes your department the principal legal advisors to the government. Those two issues are the ongoing destruction of our environment and what we should do, whether we should impose a ban. Some of us have publicly stated our view that we think that this whole small-scale mining, we need some ban now, some moratorium, so that we can figure out how to really get around this challenge, because our environment is at stake, lives are at stake. And then there's also the issue of vigilante groups, who are on rampage and in the face of Article 2102. So what will be your advice if the minister seeks your assistance on these two matters? What will be your advice to His Excellency the President?
Thank you very much. First of all, one area that I speak with passion, and I'm very, very strong at advocating against, is the issue of galamsey, which has taken a certain dimension that I have said that if care is not taken, we are all on our way to committing mass murder. Because if all our water bodies are polluted beyond purification and we take same, we stand the risk of extinction. And so I have stated with the strongest of terms and voice that given the opportunity, I will assist the Honorable Minister and Attorney General to ensure that at least my position on the matter is that some moratorium be put on it. The reason is that even the legal small-scale miners themselves are wreaking havoc on the environment. So we may have to restructure it in a manner as to ensure that even if we eventually begin to give licenses again, then it will not serve as a distraction to our environment. I watched a clip about a week ago about one of the rivers in Ghana, a picture 20 years ago and a picture last month of the same river. And it was very, very, very obscene and disturbing. So my position on this matter, as I will be assisting my minister in this, is that at least looking at the gravity of and the enormity of the issue at stake, some ban, complete ban at least, so that we restructure the system in such a way that when we eventually begin to give licenses again, then we'll ensure that the right things are done. Because we can continue to talk about the fact that it is the livelihood of people. But it is only because we are living that we are mining. If we die, we shall not be mining. So my position on it is that we have to take a strong position and make sure that we restructure it in such a manner as to protect our environment. The second one you're talking about, I don't know of any organized group of people into vigilantism or serving as a militia, which will be contra to the provision you did state. Now, these isolated cases that we have had.
Mr. Chairman, shall I give him examples of the activities of the vigilante groups? Delta Force, Invisible Forces.
I don't want you to go there because you start giving, others will start giving.
Okay, no, he was saying he didn't. He was saying he didn't know.
He's talking about organized around Galamsey.
No. That's the second part of my question.
Anyway, I don't like your examples. Just allow the question.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to say with the greatest respect that I do not want us to begin to name, because if we are looking at it, we should look at it as a holistic problem confronting us and tackle it head on. So what I will say is that if there exist any such vigilante groups at all, they ought to, without delay, be disbanded. That's my position.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, it's congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I believe the faculty class of 2007 and the law school graduating class of 2009 are very proud of you. We were there together. My question is in respect of filing fees. The filing fees were revised about 2 years ago, and you and I have been in practice, so you know, and they have been increased astronomically to the extent that, for instance, if liquidated damages, if somebody owes you money and you intend to sue to recover, and the money is in excess of, say, 10 million Ghana cedis, you need about 50,000 to file. Otherwise, you can't go to court. I know it's in the purview of the Rules of Court Committee, but being the Deputy Attorney General nominee, and by that you'll be a very important member at the bar, can you assure this committee and the whole country what steps you do to ensure that that is revised so that access to justice can be reasonably less costly to the people of this country? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think that this is one vexed issue that even when it started, there was some kind of outcry from the Bar Association and then from litigants. And unfortunately, the bereaved family could not afford the amount for only filing. They just couldn't afford it. We had to, as a chamber, find some money to do the litigation for and on behalf of that particular person because of the interest of justice. So it was some kind of pro bono type of thing. So it's actually a very big hindrance to the dispensation of justice. But as you have stated, the rules of court committee and etc. will do that. So all I can say is that I will assist my honorable minister in this regard to see if we can make inputs and proposals to the rules of court committee to have a second look at it and review it in such a manner as to ensure that it meets the expectations of the less privileged in society. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, in an answer to an earlier question, he said that the chamber had to look for money to file. But at the end of the litigation, I hope you took your money back.
Mr. Chairman, the matter hasn't ended, so...
Oh, so you still hope to take your money back?
The chambers, when we finish everything, and then we succeed, and we sit with the party, and the party says that, look, you have worked so hard, take this, we will appreciate it.
Anyway.
Honorable Member, let's be clear. The chamber has incurred the expenses of litigating on behalf. Do you need them to say, take this? Are you not entitled to that by law and practice?
Mr. Chairman, we've had some agreement, standing agreement, so to speak, in respect of success. So that standing agreement will be implemented. But I'm talking in respect of the fact that the cost of filing, in fact, we did it, I'll call it pro bono. So the cost of filing, I do not expect that we would ask the person to refund that.
This one, I still want to be sure. Pro bono means providing your professional services for free. But, yes, not taking legal fees for your professional services. But when you pay out-of-pocket expenses on behalf of the litigant, that is not part of pro bono services. If you succeed, then are you not entitled to at least recover your filing fees? Sometimes even with interest.
Mr. Chairman, without any effort at all to argue, what I have sought to say is that that amount of money that was used to file the process, we did it out of magnanimity and love for the person. That is the point.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I mean, this brings to call once again. I have always argued that the fees and charges, the act, as we always do it, is problematic because they come very bulky, mixed up. So sometimes about 500 activities. So if you don't like 10 of them, because of the others that you like, you still have to let it go. And I can tell you that when those fees and charges came to this house, if it was standing alone, it would have been thrown away. But because it was mixed up with so many others, are you going to reject it because of the others, or you accept it and now people are suffering? So I think maybe Parliament should also have to look at how we go around the fees and charges with the Ministry of Finance so that to avoid some of these things. But let me say, Mr. Chairman, I mean, our colleague, we must congratulate him. Like Honorable Yelitre said in the beginning, I mean, looking at where he started and where he is today, I mean, he's a great inspiration to a lot of our younger brothers and sisters up north, that poverty and challenges should not be a real barrier. You can always work very hard to overcome it. And I think we must congratulate him for the hard work, and we pray that he will continue to be successful even as he leads to the ministry to assist the minister. Having said this, Mr. Chairman, you look at the concept of national service. It was to inculcate in us patriotism. Now, I asked the nominee before you about legal aid and the challenges that we are having with legal aid. To be able to get lawyers to provide services, do you think we should introduce national service after the training at the law school?
They are already doing it. Yes.
I see. Then let me ask. Honestly, I didn't know this. Let me ask this then. Is it not possible that the Attorney General's office will ensure that we get these service personnel, a lot more of them at the legal aid to help provide these services? Unfortunately, the minister don't have voice here, so maybe I want to hear from
Well,
you.
it is quite clear that we will need some of them to assist. And I believe even now as we speak, some are assisting in that regard. But we need many more to be able to carry out our mandate as expeditiously as possible.
I'm very comfortable to hear,
In fact,
to hear the whisper from the minister that
in fact,
she has written specifically to get this thing done. I think it will help strengthen the legal aid service. Now, in an earlier answer to your question about the special prosecutor, yes, we all agree we need to be able to get somebody independently to be able to deal with this. Now, to be able to get someone who we can build consensus around, will you advise the minister that in proposing the act, will make it a position that has to be vetted by Parliament?
That's a difficult one. But, Mr. Chairman, if that will make the person acceptable to all facets of society, I will agree with that. Because at the end, as we have already indicated, and as my minister has stated time and again, that office will not actually go in tandem with the tenure of office of the president. So once it's going to strike beyond the tenure of office of the president to another regime perhaps, then there may be the need for us to arrive at a system where the person is vetted by the people's representatives and at the end presented to all Ghanaians. Then all doubt will be cleared in respect of that matter. I have no objection and opposition to that proposition.
Also, as a member of Parliament, even though I know you've not been too long in the House because you are so, but seeing what we do in Parliament, the number of times that you were there on issues that we had to vote, do you think in the case of the special prosecutor, because we want to get the caliber of person that will be able to carry all of us along, it should not be by simple majority, but by 2/3 of the House voting to get the person approved?
I will think that in attempting to implement this, we should not also tie ourselves with a certain albatross of an issue or an act that will not allow us to reach at a certain consensus to carry out what many have hailed as a right step to bring justice in certain aspects of our prosecution. So I will hesitate and hasten slowly in coming to the conclusion that we go for 2/3. I will rather we try to build consensus so that at the end of the day, the person is acceptable to all parties.
The reason why maybe I said, let me try and provide some other thing. You see, you are a lawyer, I'm not. The Constitution says that if we have to make any amendment to the Constitution, that does not require a referendum, Parliament will have to get that done by 2/3, simply because the framers of our Constitution imagine a Constitution that should not be hurriedly changed and that should not be biasly changed. That's why maybe it's there, that we need to get 2/3. Now we want to get an independent prosecutor who we all think should be very independent in the way the person carries his or her responsibilities, will be able to run across 10 years. You think that it will not be a very good idea, because then that will force whichever political party turn it is to appoint an independent prosecutor to try to get someone that can build consensus.
Mr. Chairman, I think even from the answer I gave earlier, I went beyond the 2/3 to talk even about consensus. So that will mean that both sides of the House will have to come to an agreement. But why not? If the person will have to approve by 2/3 for him to appear to be credible to every person of both facets of the political divide, I'll go for it, because that will serve the purpose. Because at the end of it all, if we hurriedly do things in a manner that will displease a certain section of the population, and they feel disenchanted about the procedure and processes, then at the end, unanimity may not be the case in this matter, and we'll run into difficulties. So we may have to go for that 2/3 and make sure that whatever comes on the table, we are able to talk to one another to arrive at that which will lead us to that land that we are clamoring for.
Mr. Chairman, my last question. You know, per the Constitution, it's only the Attorney General that can enter into, I'm not a lawyer, the nolle prosecutor, right? Saying that the state is not more interested in the case. Now, in our anticipation of yet to come bill, do you think we should put in the formation of the special independent prosecutor or special prosecutor the power to restrain the Attorney General to be able to stop any case that such a person is prosecuting?
Well, I think that in trying to check a situation from festering into a monstrous proportion, care must be taken not to grow another after you have nipped one in the bud. So the idea is that when we have an independent prosecutor, then the power to enter nolle prosequa may not necessarily reside in the AG at that stage. Otherwise, we are going to have another situation where that very thing we're running away from may occur. So once the special prosecutor's office commences a particular action, it must necessarily lead to a certain conclusion, conviction or not. So I would like to say that the power to enter nolle prosequa should not extend to the office of the special prosecutor in order for us to actually allow them to maintain a certain level of independence to be able to carry out their duty without fear or favor.
In fact, Mr. Chairman, I said that was my last, but because of your answer,
Let it be your last.
because of your answer, it has attracted me to ask. So that would mean it's the Constitution that needs to be amended, but not an act. Because if you do agree with me with this, that power to the Attorney General is given by the Constitution. And I doubt whether an act of Parliament can take that one away from the Attorney General.
Is that, you see, it means that when the person is appointed as a special prosecutor, for example, he will not be given the power of nolle prosequa, because that power of nolle prosequa is a preserved and prerogative of the Attorney General. So the Attorney General will still continue to be the only office that can enter that power of nolle prosequa. But because of our history and the fact that we are doing what we are doing because of our history, then the law will be fashioned in such a way that there will be no direct interference from the AG department so as to encourage independence. That's what I was just saying. But the power of nolle prosequa still resides in the Attorney General.